All right, warriors, wake up. Time to saddle up. We're going to do a breathing exercise, 5 seconds, 5 Mississippis. We're going to breathe in deep, we're going to hold it, and then release together. And what we want to do is just clear our minds. Nothing freaky, none of this, woo. Just to help you regulate your mind and get you here to listen. Not to hear, not to argue in your mind about what's being said. And if it doesn't apply to you, that you understand that you need to understand it because it hasn't happened to you yet. It's going on. So that if you're aware, you're not going to get the butt hurt that others got, especially those sharing badass remarks, teaching you and showing you, hey, here's a new con. Don't fall for this, don't fall for that. This is how I was treated. And we're going to talk about how some of you were institutionalized against your will without you knowing why. How could that have ever happened? And it happens more than you think. Narcissists are well aware of the laws, and they apply them to their advantage to try and shut you up. So I need you to really clear your mind and come into this video without you self-convicting, without you arguing, and challenge yourself to look it up. Understand it so that you know how the manipulation works. 5 seconds, let's do this breathing exercise. Let's take a badass walk, come on. Release slowly. All right, shake that shit off. Y'all look, as you're out there thriving and you're succeeding, and many of you have done this very well, even under duress and persecution, without knowing the playbook, without knowing why in the hell does it seem like I feel I'm so gassed off from giving, then when I need, no one's there. You know, there comes a time of realization, your own epiphany, when you have to start cutting people off. They don't appreciate, never have. And it's a wake-up call unlike no other, crippling in many respects. And you learn to adapt and overcome. It reminds me of that movie. You all remember the movie The Mummy? The Mummy? When that dude's running out of the building and he happens to run into a whole mob of dead people walking. And he hauls ass right in the middle of all of them, right? He turns around and starts walking like them. Hemotep, hemotep. That's what it feels like when you're out there trying to provide for yourself and your family while being persecuted by a bunch of dead people. What I need you to understand is, as you're thriving, you're going to be provoked. They're going to try and test even their own kind. It's the law of averages. It's like when I tell you, many of these that did you the favor of discarding you, you later will open your eyes when they hoover because the grass wasn't greener on the other side. They figure out that everyone else out there is a pump and dump, bench warmers, DNA waste baskets, and that's what everyone is doing. No one's committing. Everyone is playing these reverse psychology games. And so everything is based, and every introduction is based on distrust of one another. Now, the narcissists, the histrionics, these are phenomenal creatures, interesting creatures, if you will. They're a sociopath, a borderline, and a narcissist, all wrapped up in one. It's like one stick of dynamite. This kind of fusion are the ones that will lie, cheat, steal, and murder. Yes, and not think twice. They're the ones that, if they're male, have bodies up under their belt. If they're female, they have not only bodies, but possibly, I would say, prevailing average of 4 marriages and 4 or 5 abortions, because they weaponize the baby trap. Now, many of them, they want to shut you up in this way. They know that if they can drug you or poison your food and call law enforcement, not an ambulance, call law enforcement while you're fumbling for words because you can't figure out what's going on with you. They tell law enforcement that you're a threat to yourself and others. And this is why. Stop what the fuck you're doing. Look at me. There's a House bill called 1849. House Bill 1849er. The Sandra Bland Act. The Sandra Bland Act gives law enforcement the authority to spring you from jail straight into a mental institution. You don't go to jail. You go straight into a mental institution, and now you're under a bench writ by a judge for 30 days. And they think that it's because they need to defuse what's escalated to you possibly hurting yourself or others based on someone else's word. You want to know how I know? I looked it up. Because I was wrongly institutionalized twice because I was drugged. It was weird. I don't know what drug they gave me. The lab tests do. I had 3 lab tests done. Now, what happened was I was drugged, but it was like I could think what I wanted to say, but when I opened my mouth, apparently what was coming out didn't match. It was like, meh, 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 meh. And so it would stand to reason that cops have to act on what it is that they're being informed of. They have a responsibility to do this. They don't know if it was mischief or someone drugging you. And so they have to act on what they see and respond accordingly. But narcissists want to do this to set a precedent so that at the time of discard, without you knowing it, they've already set out with the same courts, they set up what would be considered a peace bond. And it's for protection against you, because they know when you come out, chances are you're going to blow up. The fuck? Because when I got the report, it had my ex's words that she communicated to them, all lies. All lies. And so I want you to understand that the Sandra Bland Act gives law enforcement and doctors the ability to call the shot and institutionalize you. And keep this in mind too. If you read it, your next door neighbor can call on you. It's also a civil act. So warriors, you need to be aware of this. You need to be aware who you associate with. And you need to be careful with the diary of the mouth. Not everybody's going to share in the joys of your success. And there are so many with envy and jealousy willing to sabotage your life and set a precedent to knock you down a notch or two. I want you to look at a video. This guy's a character. He is what I call ghetto educated. And he speaks it from the hip, man, let me tell you. But he means well to his own culture and the people at large. In his own dynamic way, he goes against the matrix. His name's Charleston White. Charleston White. And the video I wanted you to look at, so that you don't take my word for it, because it happened to him also. It's called Charleston White, Sandra Bland Act. Helped police commit me to an insane asylum. It's easier to fight rappers. For the short and long, just type in Charleston White, Sandra Bland Act, and click on that first video that pops up. Research it, Google it, and read up on it. Because reverse narcology, now that you're informed, Now you know what the law was really designed for. It was really designed for the narcissist that tried to put you in there. You see, narcissists know more about the laws that they can leverage to make you look like them. This is what I want you to understand. The life you live, the air you breathe, the standards you live by go totally against what the narcissist has smeared you. They've told lies that they've got to stick with. They're bound to them. And so every day you're alive, it disproves the lies they live in. It's why they want to shut you up. But it's why, if you have a peace bond, if you have a protective order against them, that you let law enforcement know that you not only fear for yourself, but others, and include them in that scenario. You also fear they're going to hurt themselves, and they'll be institutionalized. You let the cops know of the laws they should already know they can enact. The Sandra Bland Act, House Bill 1849. Reverse narcology is a bitch. And right now, narcissists are biting their fucking nails, trying to figure out how they're going to shut Chico up. Nay. I tell you what, when you blow that bridge up, you keep that shit blown. For any of you still toying and provoking and taunting the devil, talking about, oh, I got a text. I discarded 6 months ago or a year ago, and I got a text yesterday or a week ago. Why in the hell are you still opening or leaving that crack open for yourself? Why are you still reachable? Warriors, you're playing with fire. And it makes me cringe to know that after all of the knowledge that you have and all these other channels that warn you, you still leave a gateway to be provoked and emotionally discharged. It's like all the shit you went through was for nothing. Oh, but I didn't respond. It doesn't fucking matter. You're supposed to be unavailable, unreachable, a ghost. Warriors, thanks for this badass walk on the beach. Y'all have come a long way. I just don't want you backtracking. And I want to remind you how far you've come. And you had to do it alone. And it's why I celebrate with those of you who have maintained the line and you keep your foot on their damn throats and you share those badass remarks. But understand, you got to step up. You got to do it for yourself. Your number one fans are waiting for you to fall so they can point the finger. Remember, you're the one to be feared. No tolerating disrespect, warriors. No do-overs. No potential. This is the way of the warrior. And I call y'all warriors for good reason. Many of y'all probably never went through a single boot camp or wore a uniform or even engaged in battle. But as a civilian, the trauma is the same. The engagement is the same. The difference between you and I is I could see my enemy in uniform. As a civilian, you're hit broadside, blindsided. And 9 times out of 10 by your very own flesh and blood. Stop enabling. Stop gaslighting. When a narcissist isn't even asking for an invitation, you're doing it on your own. When people show you exactly who the fuck they are, you need to accept that and step away. It's never goodbye, warriors. Always until next time. Namaste.